Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weiss. I'm very glad to be joined by Lieutenant Blake Tabor, Trumbull Parish Sheriff's Office. Blake, thanks for sticking around.
Thanks so much for having
All right.
me.
And you know, it's one of those things we were talking about last segment where it's just so very important. You know, we have so, our mind kind of runs away with us when we hear about somebody being missing. But there's so many different issues and possibilities about that. So let's talk a little bit more about maybe the second person.
And so, you know, the second juvenile that kind of came to us this past week was a female. She is identified as a 17-year-old Hispanic female by the name of Merlin Alvarado. Mm-hmm. She was a local student. You see her pictured here. She was a student at a local school here in Terrebonne Parish for a short period of time. This circumstance may be a little different than the one we spoke about previously.
Okay.
So Merlin she was brought in by her uncle. She was taken custody by her uncle. She is from another country.
Okay.
She is bilingual, so that adds a different component to what we're dealing with, obviously.
Right.
There was some language barrier there with her uncle. He was not very fluent in English, so it took some planning out to kind of get this to fruition. She did leave on her own accord. Every indication is that is what took place. Again, she was not taken by force. We do not expect any type of foul play. But again, with her having family in another country, this brings this investigation to a different level.
It makes it a little more global.
Absolutely.
Because we're not sure what may or may not have happened and what her thoughts or intentions were when she left.
Absolutely. And, you know, was she missing her family? Did she go back? We just don't know at this point. But, you know, again, we're exploring all of the options available to us, and we're not going to stop till we find her.
Well, and it's one of those things that I always appreciate between the Sheriff's Office and the Division of the Special Victims Unit, making sure that they are going to do everything in their power with every resource to find out what's going on and reconnect people as needed, or to find out what the issues are that maybe led to that.
Absolutely. And look, and what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, law enforcement, we try to be the end-all, be-all in a person's life, whether that's to bring safety to a situation or peace to a situation. But we can only do what our resources will allow us to do, right? And a lot of this requires community involvement. And that's why we love coming on HTV. That's why we like putting the story out and getting their picture out. It's why we're big advocates for social media. It's important in this day and age. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago. You know,
Right.
You can reach people on a global scale, and that's very beneficial for us.
Right. And again, so speaking of, I appreciate that. It's a good comment. So Jane, put that picture back up again. Miss Merlin Alvarado, she is a bilingual Hispanic young lady.
Yes, ma'am.
So Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office is looking for her in as much as we're just trying to find that she's left the home. She was living with an uncle from another country as we try to figure out what happens or what happened, and just to see what dynamics are in place for where she needs to be with regards to her immediate family and or her uncle when she was here.
And look, there's also the component of this that with her being raised in another country, perhaps she was raised where going missing wasn't a big deal. You know, maybe this is something that she's used to. Maybe she's not used to the protocols and procedures of how we do things here in our community.
Right.
But once someone is placed into the National Crime Information Center as a missing person, we have certain protocols that we have to follow. And what that entails is, and we see it all the time, someone may report a brother or a sister missing, and perhaps they're just out doing things that they don't want their family to know about.
Sure.
And inevitably an officer may pull them over on a traffic stop, and then all of a sudden they realize or come to know that they're put out as a missing person. What they don't realize is that we have to see them, not just Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. Let's say someone is in Georgia.
Okay.
If an officer gets in touch with them and they are put as a missing person, an officer of the law of this country has to see them with their own eyes, check their identification, and do certain steps to make sure that we are speaking to the person who is actually missing.
Right.
It's not as simple as making a phone call and saying, oh, I'm here, I just don't want my family to know where I'm at. We understand that, and we can certainly appreciate that, but that is not how the protocol works. And if it was, we would be missing out on a lot of opportunities and probably giving a lot of false information.
Right. So there's a verification process.
Absolutely.
And that's so very vital to make sure that that person is who they say they are, especially with all of these issues with name and stealing identities and those kinds of things.
Yep.
We want to make sure that we're finding the right person, and that
Absolutely.
is no longer a missing person, but it's verified.
And look, and it's not just our agency. I'm sure agencies across the nation could tell you that there's been times, well, we've received a call. Oh, this is Merlin Alvarado, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Okay, how do I know it's you?
Right.
You know, she's safe when actually she's not safe. Or,
Right.
And it could be any other example of a person. So that protocol is paramount when we're dealing with investigations, especially in this day and age.
Right. And there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about through the sheriff's office, through the special victims unit, in the gathering of data and making sure that all of that information is accurate, and making sure that there's some good closure to these kinds of cases.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, that's what we want. We want to have good closure, whatever the outcome is.
Absolutely. We want to reunite, you know, these teens with their families. We want to be able to provide resources and assistance to the families if they need, because everyone deserves to have a nice, healthy life.
They absolutely do. Lieutenant, thank you so much. We always appreciate your time. And again, shout out to Sheriff's Office and to the Special Victims Unit for all the hard work y'all do every day.
Thank you very much.
You got it. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou time when we continue.